The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to The Secrets of Technology. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Joanne Mercier. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Dom.
And Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father Cory.
How's it going?
Folks, I want to tell you about another show on the StarQuest Network that you are sure to enjoy called The Catholics of Oz. That's right, Oz as in Australia. You can find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/OZ, as they say. Be sure to listen. It's a lot of fun and it's very geeky and cool. And if you like this show, you like that. Before we get into our topic today, I'm going to use my platform for my own self-interest here and ask for opinions from the audience, which is I've been thinking of switching my phone service from AT&T to Mint Mobile, which is that new prepaid service that seems a lot cheaper. I've been reading a lot of reviews, been trying to figure out what the catch is. I'm a cynical kind of guy when it comes to this. I'm very hesitant to pull the trigger. There's got to be a catch. Why is it so much cheaper? So if you're a Mint Mobile user, I would love to hear from you what your experience has been. Is it cheaper for you? They have this new family plan that literally just dropped like 3 days ago, which you can add you can have 3 lines in a family, and each line can have a different plan, like depending on how much internet data you want for them to have and that sort of thing. And it really seems really great. My oldest is old enough now to get a phone number. We want to get her a number and a phone, and gosh, we're paying an arm and a leg to AT&T for just 2 lines. I can't imagine what we'd be paying for 3. So Mint Mobile looks like a good deal. So I'm just looking for feedback from anyone. You can send it to technology@sqpn.com and let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. Okay, so enough of my own using this for my own purposes and my benefit. Let's benefit you, the listener. Today's topic, the idea is, if you wanted to, how would you delete yourself from the internet? Because we're everywhere on the internet these days, right? I mean, we got stuff here, there, and everywhere. If you Google yourself, you'll find all kinds of things. Is it even possible to delete yourself from the internet? And so I wanted to start there with the question is why you might want to delete yourself from the internet, or at least decrease your presence on the internet. And when I phrase this topic, I don't necessarily think that a lot of you want to completely delete yourself from the internet, but one or many of these things that we mentioned may be things you want to do to sort of decrease your presence. And so, hopefully some of this, 1 point or 2 or more, will be relevant to you. But let's start with the question of is, why would you want to delete yourself from the internet or decrease your footprint there? What do you think? What would be relevant reasons for that?
I think probably the first one is just general privacy. I think, it's interesting, when the internet first came out, it was kind of a free form, everybody kind of did their own thing. Everybody put up their own websites. Everybody went to all these different chat groups and everything. And it got more and more structured, and people were, doing things like tagging themselves when they take pictures on vacation, and Facebook tracking, and all these things that you could do. And it was all great. It was wonderful. Oh, look at how much fun I'm having on vacation. Look how much fun I'm having at the pub and all this.
I checked in on Foursquare, and I'm the mayor of my cafe down the street.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Or in my case, Untapped. And this is, my favorite beer of the moment,
right.
Things like that, but now we're starting to have recognition that can cause a lot more problems than we think. Talking about, checking in with Foursquare and stuff like that, where you get cyber stalkers, or people might want to, this person just posted that they're gone, and so that means their house is open. Stuff like that, and that's real things that have happened. There have been story after story of somebody was a regular, tracking themselves on Facebook and all these other things, logging into different places. And someone noticed that and was able to see when they're going to be gone for a week and, broke in. That's happened many times.
This is why I don't announce on podcasts that I'm not going to, like, if I'm not going to be here next week because I'm going on vacation, I don't announce that on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Exactly.
So I think, and then of course you hear stories of people with their jobs and everything where they post something online and they lose their job because of it, stuff like that. I mean, that's taking a lot of things and making, just these privacy issues in general. The internet is not a safe place. And there are things that we probably don't want out there. We probably shouldn't have put out there in the first place, but that's another story.
Right. Well, sometimes we learn, the internet's been around for long enough for most of us and for some younger people for their entire lives. Yep. Stuff they posted when they were young and stupid, sticks around until they're older and wiser and or at least less stupid. And then it comes back and bites them. I mean, we've seen this with celebrities over and over again. Another thing might be just data brokers out there collecting our information and selling it and packaging it and, just the annoyance of it all. Maybe we want to decrease our exposure in that front too. How about you, Joanne?
Yeah, I think from the get-go, when I started on the internet way back when in the Stone Age during the Flintstones era, we were hiding behind personas anyway.
Yeah.
So I created maybe 2 or 3 personas depending on what, group I was with. So those, because of disuse, have pretty much, faded into the background. I did a Google search of myself, and mostly it's obituaries that I've been in. No, seriously, or work stuff. The funny thing is, my own podcast that I used to have doesn't even come up in it.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a website and it has a YouTube page, and I do not come up on the at least the first 10 pages of Google.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Right. So I wasn't one for maybe self-promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why I haven't hit, but it's mostly work where I've been working in the past, maybe I'd say 15 years. If I'm on the website, that's what it seems to have pulled from. Or obits. So I don't know. I think there are people out there who go on the internet and they want to be noticed.
Yes.
And so any publicity is good publicity.
Sure.
So then that's where you get yourself into trouble. And no, I'm one of those people too that doesn't announce on Facebook, I'm going away on vacation or I'm going. I don't put much on Facebook because I think I learned about trolls early on.
Yeah.
So it was like, why do I want to engage people in? But
Sure.
I think people who have had this problem now are probably thinking, it might be good if I decrease and let something else increase. Because
Sure.
I'm getting in tons of spam, tons of, I think just from seeing all of my stuff out there from parishes, that's where I get those letters from the pastors saying, could you go get me some iTunes gift cards?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
All those
always a
lovely
scam.
spams. Right.
Pastors do not need iTunes gift cards. They're not.
No,
asking
they
for them.
they wouldn't
Speak
know
for
what
yourself.
to do. Most of them would not know what to do with them, and you know it.
No.
Most wouldn't. One would.
You're not getting iTunes gift cards to help the poor family down the street who needs groceries. I mean,
Right, exactly.
That's how it's usually
exactly.
phrased.
Exactly.
Yeah. Another thing too that might be useful is you think I have an unusual name. Domenico Bettinelli is not it's not John Smith, but it can sometimes, it's interesting if you Google that, or if you look at some of these like directories of, find out anything about anyone. I run into stuff. It has, all of them have me mixed up with my dad who has the same name and my nephew has the same name. And then strangers, like there's information. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. It's not me or my dad or my nephew. And it's like, if you get yourself mixed up with that stuff and someone could come after you or, that sort of thing, mistaken identity. Or like I saw this article, this guy named John Smith, like literally John Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He has had so many problems in life. The TSA is constantly pulling him out of line because of warrants and no fly orders, and he gets the hotels, and they didn't actually keep his reservation because they thought it was a joke, and all kinds of problems with having this very common name. So just even because you have your name, you can sometimes have issues. So
yeah.
But as somebody in genealogy like myself, I want to see those unusual names, because if I'm looking for, most of my family has an unusual name.
Right.
So it's good to be out there in that sense.
In the genealogical records, like usually government records or parish records and that sort of thing. Right. So the one thing to do is, when you're getting started with this process, is to Google yourself, but not just regular Google. What you want to do is you want to log out of your Google account if you have one.
Right.
And maybe even open a whole new browser.
Yeah.
And then enter your name.
I would say either log yourself out or use privacy mode.
Yes.
Where
that doesn't always work, though. If you use like Google Chrome's privacy mode, that Google still sees you. You know what I mean? And it can still skew the results. So it may or may not give you the cleanest results.
Yeah.
But
it's still it still will help.
It helps.
It's not going to be the same results by a long shot.
Right. So, and then you can see where you are on the internet and what kind of information is out there about you and that sort of thing. So it can be a fun exercise, or scary depending on your personal history, but it might be interesting to do that anyway. Now you could hire third-party services to do this for you. There's various ones, like one's called deleteme.com. There's another called jumbo.com. Your mileage may vary. You're going to pay a lot of money in some cases, and you might be able to. They're probably not going to be able to do more than you already could do for yourself. But if you don't feel confident, sometimes it's just easier to pay someone and take the worry off your hands and let them do it. But let's talk about some of the things you could possibly do to help yourself here. And I'm going to have a bunch of links in the show notes to give you more information on this. So step one, you could delete your social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter,
Please.
LinkedIn, Tumblr, LiveJournal. That's the thing, is you have to think back. Where have I created social media accounts? Go back.
Yahoo.
Yes. Do you guys you guys remember any of your old social media accounts that you have, that you're not, including ones you're not using anymore?
A lot of old forums. You remember, like, some of them are still out there, but there's a lot of old forums that the forums have gone dead. BBS, they've gone dead, but the accounts are probably still out there if I wanted to recover them. You guys remember everything I put out there was still out there?
Do you remember Plurk? That was
that's still out there.
Yeah, hot for a little while.
It's still there. It still exists.
A lot of SQPN folks got on there. I remember back in the day after one of the Catholic New Media conferences. But yeah, they're still out there. So you may have accounts there still. And if you lost the password, you could use the I forgot my password thing and have them email it to you and revive it so you can delete it.
Assuming you still have that same email address.
Well, that's
or even know that old email address.
Right. So old social media accounts, you could you would want to maybe look at shopping, payment, gaming accounts. So if you're trying to erase your footprint, things like Uber and Lyft, PayPal, Venmo, the various gaming services like Xbox or PlayStation, various places that even have Steam. These all have social aspects that the information is exposed. So anywhere where other people you can see the information, but also some of these services, even if they don't expose it to like a communal thing, they still data broker it. They still sell it. And so that's something to keep in mind.
Even things you're talking about shopping, even Amazon, which doesn't have really a social media aspect, but they definitely, they sell their data.
Oh yeah.
They do. I mean, that they don't just make money off of shipping books.
Oh, you run into it all the time. The evidence of that. Yes. And so, even like old Amazon reviews, you have your old Amazon reviews are out there. So we didn't mention another reason someone, we kind of hinted at cyber stalking, but also there are people who are in legal situations where they need to not be found. Old, spouses or romantic partners or, Vinny no-nos, and you're in witness protection now or something, that sort of thing. You don't want them to find you. So that sort of thing. Do you guys have any idea of how many total accounts you have where you've set up accounts?
I can look at my password manager, but it still wouldn't have all of them.
Yeah,
it still wouldn't have all of them because there's a lot that I'd set up before I even heard the word password manager.
Well, and when I change jobs, I've had a profile, I've had email addresses and profiles for all of those specific vendors under that particular parish's account. Now I got to make another one. So I'm sure I've got at least 50 behind me, that I've had to abandon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 1,000 active logins in my 1Password. That's the active ones. I have an archive. I never throw any away. I have 1,400 things archived.
Yes. See, I'm not quite that bad, but I can see I've got 489 that are uncategorized.
And there's even more stuff in there that I should probably get rid of. But yeah, that's and then there's the stuff that predates that. And so there's you probably have, you almost certainly have more accounts than you think you have. So that's something to keep in mind. It's also a reason why you should have a password manager to help you keep track.
Oh yeah. You can't live without a password manager anymore.
So here's an interesting and perhaps controversial one. Several of the articles I looked at suggested that you go to old forums where you've been members and maybe have posted messages. And a lot of them won't let you delete messages, right? And once they're posted, because that would screw up the threading and all sorts of things. You can delete your account, but you can't delete the messages. But what you can do, they suggest, is edit the forum post to just put like a period in it. So that it has one character period in it, and then delete your account. I don't know because what you're doing is you're deleting the content of your post, and now it kind of ruins those threads regardless. What do you think?
But let me ask a question here. What about the Wayback Machine? Wouldn't they still be on the Wayback Machine?
Yes. Nothing is ever gone, truly gone. The Internet Archive's Wayback Machine caches a lot of stuff that, not everything, but certainly it caches a lot of things. So even then, I don't know if it does forums and forum posts, but it might.
I used to be on a Touch by an Angel forum, and a lot of it is still there.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah. So I wonder, I didn't look this up ahead of time. I should have, if there's a way to get the Internet Archive to remove content.
I'm not sure you can. Their job is to gather it.
Yeah.
I think if it's something that you own, like if it's your personal website, I think that yes, they will remove it. But as far as things that other people own, like a forum, I don't think they'll touch it.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of out of curiosity. I just pulled up on the Wayback Machine a forum I've been on for a long time, and there are snapshots from this forum. I'm trying to see if I can pull up the actual forum here. See if you can read articles and stuff. But it looks like they do archive forums as well on the Wayback. So even if you deleted them, your stuff would still be here.
Oh gosh, yeah. I would think so.
Yeah, you can prevent it from adding content. Like you can set up a robots.txt file on your website that tells it not to crawl your site, but you can't tell it to go back and remove stuff from the site in the past. There might be a lawyer way of doing it. A lot of this stuff, if you can't get the site to do it through a normal means, getting a lawyer to send a letter will sometimes work. So there might be a lawyer way to do that.
Yeah, so going back on like blanking out your forum posts, frankly, I think that would be kind of pointless. Because if that forum happens to be on the Wayback Machine, somebody will just go to the Wayback Machine and see what you posted anyways.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it harder. And that's part of it, is you can't completely eliminate yourself, hide on the internet, completely remove yourself, but you can make it harder to find you. And so there may be that. It depends on how much you want to get yourself removed from these places and to be unfindable. Another suggestion they say, and it's kind of obvious, I guess, if you have your own website, delete it and cancel the domain because that's out there, with your stuff. there are lots of data brokers that are they scrape both websites and publicly available records. Mm-hmm. So like phone books or government records that are out there in the public area, and they a lot of these different data brokers are out there, and they all now have ways to opt out, and I'll have a link to several of the big ones like Spokeo and Instant Checkmate and that sort of thing, where you can tell it to you want to opt out of their pages. They shouldn't put your information in there. Mm-hmm. So, but these are the ones I was talking about. Like several of them, I looked myself up on them, and they had my information mixed with my dad's and my nephew's, and it was all kind of. So it's not even all that good of information to begin with, and that's kind of the annoying thing. Have you ever looked yourself up in any of these data broker sites? Find information about anyone. That's what usually the ads say.
Yeah, my husband has. He gets very scared when he finds, he's like, they've got this information on our house and all. I'm like, Kev, it's public record.
Yes.
You know, they're picking up stuff that's all public record. And yes, I get the Zillow Zestimates.
Yeah.
Every month telling me my house is going up in price. And I'm like, that's nice.
It's called inflation.
True.
Yeah.
Because a year from now it'll go down.
Yeah. So one of the things to keep in mind, speaking of that, is most cities and towns, including my very small town, if you go to the city or town website for the local government, mm-hmm. and you go to the assessor's office page, there'll usually be a link to a public records database of all the property in town. And all you have to do is you could search on property owners' names, and at least in my town you can. I'm giving away the how people can find me, I suppose. Then you can find people's addresses and what they paid for their house and what they pay in taxes. And they'll sometimes have photos of the house and all that sort of information. I don't know that you can actually have that obscured, which is concerning.
Probably not.
Well, if anything's government public information, there really isn't a way they can do that.
So just keep in mind, that sort of information is not always possible to remove. It was never addressed in any of the things I looked at. So I have a feeling a lot of these services that are advertising this sort of thing know that they can't get you. You can't be removed from government records that are publicly available. So then they recommend also often deleting your email accounts. Of course, if you've got an email address, especially if it's been out there for any length of time, it's everywhere. So, you could delete it, and then you could set up a new email account at some of these privacy focused places like Proton Mail or others that will obscure. And in fact, I'll have a link to an article from the New York Times site Wirecutter on how to create a burner identity, that they call it. So you can have private email forwarding using a service like Simple Login. Proton Mail is another one. You can create a throwaway email at a service called Mail Drop, which is you use it once and you don't, and it goes away. Privacy, which is the virtual credit cards that I was one of my picks of the week a while ago. Still love it. Still working great. Google setting up a Google Voice phone number is another way to obscure your presence. And then there's a service called MySudo. It's like an app, and it's a subscription service, and it bundles it all together. It does a lot of these services, so you're erasing yourself, but then there are services to get back in there a little more securely. I want to mention the Google has a couple of things. There's a website called myactivity.google.com, which it's Google's way of exposing to you how the information it has about you. Mm-hmm. About your activity using its various services. And you can set up things like you can delete any saved activity they have on you, and you can also set up an auto delete every 6 months. Delete everything you have about me.
That might not be a bad idea.
And one thing with the Google I should mention is this is especially important for Android users, because it also includes your location history from your phone.
Right.
Okay.
Just like when you authorize location on your computer, just like that on your phone. So you can go to manage history, and it'll show you everywhere your phone, meaning you, were.
Right.
Right. And it will show you on a beautiful Google map.
Ooh.
I mean, literally, I just pulled up mine. It's course, lots of red dots, Montana, North Dakota, Washington, that area. But it's just like, yeah, everywhere I've been since I've had an Android phone, basically. And you can narrow it down to when you were where. I mean, it's a lot of information. Let's just put it that way.
Yep. So the categories, it gives you control over web and app activity, location history, like you mentioned, YouTube history, and ad personalization. So you can individually control each of those and what it records and delete whatever information they have.
Well, something I like right now is Apple's Hide My Email.
Yes.
That they have. That's nice if I'm going to a site that I don't think I'm going back to again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I have to put an email address in. I like.
I'll sometimes use that even for sites I plan on using regularly, but I just don't want to. But I want to be able to cut ties if I need to. So what it does is Apple sets up in between you and them a fake email, like not a fake email, an alias email, a long random string of numbers and letters, and when that website emails you, it sends it to that address, and then Apple translates it to your actual address. So that website never has your actual email address. So that if you want to cut ties, they've become annoying and won't stop emailing you, and you can't unsubscribe or whatever, or you just don't care to go through the rigmarole of canceling accounts or whatever. You just kill that email, tell Apple, delete that alias, bounce anything that goes to it, and now you've cut ties. So it's really useful. It's built in to Apple Mail and works really well. It's different from the Apple login, which is the sign in with Apple. But it's similar because that also obscures your email address.
But it's interesting that Apple has this now built in where you have you have that type of hide my email, or you have the Apple login,
right.
Or you have on the Apple card the token instead of your
actual number. Yep.
Yeah, they seem to be running in that vein.
Apple is all privacy all the time now. I mean, there's a new ad which is kind of funny about protecting your data.
Yes, I've seen that one.
It's kind of amusing, and Apple. And Google. I mean, I actually have an article that I wanted to discuss at some point in the on the show about Google's plans for becoming more privacy focused, which is kind of ironic, but they've seen the writing on the wall, which is that Apple is really become known as the privacy computer company, and people want it because people don't like having everything exposed. So if you ever want to remove yourself from Google searches, that's different from your Google activity. If you want to get, like, if you do a Google search and a link comes up, you're like, I don't want my name associated with that. So, how do you remove your name from Google searches? There's if you're from Europe, you're in luck. Because as of 2014, Europeans, based on the European law, can request that Google remove their personal information from search results. So that's just boom, you can do it. Right. If anywhere else, you have to go through a bit more rigmarole. And there's I'll have a link to an article on privacybee.com that talks about some ways you can go about getting in particular things removed from Google searches. You can't do all of your name en masse easily, but even that is technically possible, but it takes a lot more work. And then once you've done all this. They recommend deleting unused apps on your devices, like on your phone. A lot of those apps will sometimes have data collection as part of their basic function. You want to get rid of that. You'll want to turn off certain location frameworks and that sort of thing. Then you probably want to get a privacy-focused browser like Brave or Vivaldi or a couple of the other ones that are like that, that really prevents tracking your activity online. And revel in your privacy.
Yeah, one thing talking about unused apps, Android a couple versions ago added that if you don't use an app within like a month, it'll revoke any permissions that you've given it. So any permissions to GPS, any permissions to video and audio, your files, any of those, where it pops up, hey, do you want to grant this permission? Yes or no, or while using this app.
Yeah.
So about once a month, I'll get a little pop-up saying, hey, you haven't used this app in a while, so I've revoked the permissions.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
So
and I
so
like
that's
that it
kind of one
notifies
step.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of one step where you can say, okay, I haven't used the FedEx app in, a month. I really don't ship with FedEx, so delete, things like that.
Yeah, because that's the one difference. I like that it tells you in Apple, it'll just, put it in the cloud, but it'll leave it there.
The offload apps.
The
right.
offload.
Yep.
But it doesn't notify you that it's doing it.
Yeah. I've got that's just something you can turn on or turn off, and I've got it turned on because I have lots of apps on my phone, and when I turned it on, I was like, I don't want them taking up all that space. But it can be annoying because there are apps that I don't use all that much, but when I need them, I want it there. And suddenly I'm out and about and I want to use this app, and I'm like, oh, you have to be on Wi-Fi to download this one unless you give a special permission. Oh, just come on, download the data here is awful, that sort of thing.
I hadn't used Gas Buddy in a long time until like 2 months ago.
Right.
I went through the same experience.
Yeah.
That was me just this morning. I hadn't used Google Drive on my iPad in a while, and it's like, what do you mean I have to download it?
Exactly.
Come on, I need this now.
I tried to get storage on my devices that is large enough that I don't have to constantly do that. So I think I'm actually going to turn that off on mine. I think I'm going to have everything stay there, and unless I run into a problem. But
I like the idea that it should tell you, because then that might prompt you to get rid of them.
Right.
If you're not using it, it's like, okay, because that doesn't, I usually have to go through my phone every couple of months and go, am I really using this, or was this just a one-off for something?
Right.
Yeah, it's a really nice feature. And there's times where it might be just 1 or 2 apps, times it might be a dozen apps where it says you haven't used these in a month. So they, so I've removed their permissions, but you can click on them and re-add if you need to. But again, like I said, that's a good opportunity to say, I'm not going to use this. Gone.
Yeah,
I didn't even remember downloading this. Oops, gone.
Yeah. So that's a lot. And like I said, there's going to be links to a bunch of different articles that kind of lead you through step by step of these things, and kind of go into a little more detail on this if this is something you want to do. And like we were just saying, like, sometimes it's just you want to clean things up, and this is a nice way to clean up the mess of your online presence. And you don't necessarily want to delete yourself from the internet, but you want to clean it up or at least know what's there, and that's also useful too. All right, let us move on. Before we do, I want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Alan E., Barbara T., Anthony C., Michael F., and John M. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So let's talk about some headlines. Apple made some announcements recently about some accessibility improvements. There's recently a day, like a global technology accessibility day or something that they celebrated in May. And Apple has been taking advantage of that in the last few years to announce some accessibility based features ahead of the new WWDC that's coming up in a couple of weeks. It makes it so it doesn't get lost in all the excitement of the new operating system, I think, which is nice. And some of these new features are kind of awesome. We should talk about a couple of them, which is one of them is called door detection. And what it does is for people who are especially visually impaired, it can detect how far they can detect the existence of a door. When you arrive at a location, it can detect how far away it is, describe it to you, describe whether it's glass or wood or solid. I think maybe, I don't know if I can tell if it's wood or metal. Where the handle is, if it's closed, if you need to push it, turn a knob, or pull a handle. Even read the signs and symbols on it, which is useful if you're looking for the bathroom and you want to go into the men's room and not the ladies' room, or vice versa. So that looks really cool. I really love that technology.
That would be good if you're in a foreign country. If it'll read it in the language of the foreign country. Now, that would be superb.
I wonder how many languages it can do. Probably not many at the launch, but probably a lot eventually. They also announced another feature called Apple Watch mirroring and quick actions, which, I mean, even for those of us who aren't have accessibility issues, sometimes using the tiny little watch and tapping things is a pain. So what this does is it mirrors the Apple Watch onto your phone screen much bigger, and so you can do the functions of your watch on the phone screen, which is nice. It lets people who want to use a watch and its various functions do so. So that's cool. And then they have another one called Live Captions, which will take, like, if you're in a FaceTime call, it will live caption things. It'll take people's spoken word and put in a caption like above their head or by their head and with their name above it, so you can read it as you go. And frankly, this is the sort of thing I think would be useful for a lot of people because I often have a hard time understanding people on the in a FaceTime.
Yeah, I could see using that a lot.
Yes.
And again, would this be something that could translate into another language? And I think of a lot of that now because I'm working with a trilingual community.
Now, does Apple have, I mean, Google obviously has Google Translate, which does a pretty good job of translating. Does Apple have anything like that at all? And that could be a stumbling block from them doing that.
They do. They have an app on the phone called Translate that it ships with that will do translations. And it's on all of this. That's another important thing is all of this is done on device. It's not done in the cloud at all. But yeah, they do some live, not live shows. They do some translating, language to language translating in that app. So it's possible that they're moving in that direction with this sort of thing, which would be really cool. Universal translator, anyone?
But even, this is good for people who mumble.
Yep.
And you're on a call with them and they're going, oh, and you're like, what?
As long as the phone can hear them.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was cool is something called Buddy Controller, which means that someone who is physically handicapped, they can have someone, they can have a game controller and have someone also with a game controller, and they can be both playing the single game. So the person can be helping them play the game.
Oh, so that's ganging up on people.
Well, it's so they're playing one game. They're playing, they're not like co-op playing. They're playing the same character, say, in the game. But someone may not have the dexterity for certain functions. So
yeah, so that's almost. I mean, this obviously for someone that has needs like that, that'd be a good thing. But this is about like you have the 3-year-old kid that wants to play, so you hand them the unplugged controller and you keep playing.
right.
Yeah. So see how good you're doing, and the kids just sit there pounding buttons, and
I wonder sometimes now whether they'll. There's a way to know if someone's doing it, because in like competitive gameplay, if you've got two people playing the same character, like one of the guys is lobbing virtual grenades and the other's sniping with that character, they're gonna I don't know, it's kind of funny.
I think it's something like Fortnite where something like a function like this would be really handy.
yes So it's really and they have several other ones in there that they talk about, but it's really awesome to see how they're really going and making this technology available to everyone, and not just the straight up productivity technology, but even the fun stuff like playing games. It should be accessible.
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued with the Siri pause time one.
Yes. Because it will help users with speech disabilities adjust how long Siri waits before responding to a request. I run into this all the time. I have an 11-year-old who has a stutter, and like he'll ask Alexa, what, and it will like, I don't know what you're saying. Wait for him to finish.
Yeah.
Or for an older person who can't remember the word they're trying to remember. And it's like, hey, Shlomo, I need, hold on.
My dad, who's in his 80s, he'll want to use Siri to ask what was the score of the game? What was the Boston Red Sox score? I think they're playing Tampa today. Or was it earlier? And it's like, Dad, just like, but you know what? They should be able to understand that. I can understand that. Why can't these personal assistants have been training us how to speak to them instead of the opposite. So there needs to come a day when these things can respond to us the way we talk as opposed to the way it wants us to talk. So.
By the way, there's a Saturday Night Live skit about that. You'll have to go look it up.
Yes, Alexa Silver.
No, yes. I like the Hey Goo.
The Google, yeah. I haven't seen that one, but the Alexa Silver edition is hysterical. That is,
I've seen
like
that
at one point the guy's just ranting at it, and Alexa is going,
Aloysius. They can't remember the name. Aloysius. I don't know about that.
Yep.
So our next headline, this is a fun one. Think about this one as you're going to bed tonight. Researchers in the UK have developed an autonomous snake-like robot designed to slither down human lungs into places that are difficult for medical professionals to reach. That sounds like the plot of a movie.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything. A different story I saw. Put it that way. It looks like a metallic goo, this is a different one. This one is looks like a very thin wire, basically.
Yeah.
I hope that they put you out when they do this, because it would feel really weird to have something slithering around inside your lungs.
I would gag just going down the throat.
Yeah.
Enough right there would be.
I've had an endoscopy while awake.
Oh.
Never again.
I can't even get dental X-rays. So
no, me neither.
That's out. I saw a different one that was like a metallic goo that is all that they could control and could slither down inside the body. Which again, no thanks. But I mean, it's still fascinating and amazing that they can, without having to open you up, and cut into you.
I like that idea.
It's less invasive, and therefore, the less they have to cut into you, the safer it is. So, just as long as the thing doesn't run out of battery halfway back up.
The goo wasn't such a problem. It's the fact that the doctor says resistance is futile before he stuck it in you.
Yes.
Gentlemen, the visuals are killing me here.
Yeah, we are the Borg. Oh,
exactly.
You know what? Totally. After he put it in, I would go stiff and go, "We are the Borg. Resistance is futile."
And scare him half to death.
I would totally do that. Now I want to do this. No, I don't. But
and Doctor would go, "Oh, another Star Trek."
Yeah. It's not original. We've seen this one. or make an aliens joke, but that's a whole nother.
Oh, geez.
But one thing I will say more serious though is a lot of this technology where they can be so much less invasive for these surgeries. I've heard of a couple of people now where they had a stroke and they were able to basically go in remotely and basically suction out the clot that caused the stroke.
Oh, wow.
They didn't have to do like open head surgery or anything like that. They could just go in through your artery and up.
Wow.
There actually is a lot. So this could be the kind of technology that makes that even better, where they don't even have to open you up. At all. They don't even have to cut the little slit, In
some ways, it is like Star Trek, that advanced medical technology you sometimes see on the sci-fi. We're living in science fiction. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
So our last headline is another one. We seem to have these themes that come up, like, Facebook is horrible. Amazon is taking over the world. Well, this one is an Amazon taking over the world one. So Amazon's Prime delivery service they're opening it up to other retailers. Which is kind of a competition with FedEx and UPS. Now, it's not really competition with FedEx and UPS in that FedEx and UPS will go to your business, pick up packages, and deliver it to someone else. Yep. With this Buy with Prime feature that Amazon has, you have to be a fulfillment by Amazon company, which means that you're selling stuff online, but you keep it in Amazon's warehouses and it's shipped from there. So there's so that being said, what it does is it lets these companies use Amazon for payment and shipping and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm kind of meh on it, because if you don't live in a major metropolitan area, Prime shipping doesn't exist, at least as far as the blue trucks coming to your house. When I order something, even Prime shipping, 2-day shipping, it's still the man in the brown van that shows up.
I tend to think that competition is good. because if you start to have a monopoly, then all kinds of things can get out of control, like prices. So I'm not for, I mean, Amazon does what it does well. FedEx does what it does well. UPS, I mean, they all have their quirks.
Yeah.
But if you've got a few choices, now you have the ability to keep prices down and competitive.
Yeah.
Rather than having one big behemoth suck up all the air.
So in general, my experience is I like my UPS driver and my FedEx driver that we see, and I've not been as happy. We've had fine drivers for the Amazon delivery, but I've been more often unhappy with their deliveries than has been the case with UPS or FedEx,
because it's never the same person.
Yeah.
Well,
I have never not seen the same person twice.
Right.
In an Amazon truck.
Whereas a UPS guy has a route.
Yeah. And FedEx as well.
And the thing is too, is I don't think Amazon wants to compete with FedEx and UPS. They just don't want to have to use FedEx and UPS.
Right. In fact, they're not using FedEx at all anymore.
Yeah. Or UPS. I mean, like I said, everything I get, it comes through UPS, but it's cheaper for Amazon to have their own drivers and their own planes and their own trucks, you know, in the long run, than it is to pay someone else to do that.
But could it be that they're trying to compete with the U.S. Postal Service, because both FedEx and UPS are using Postal Service for some deliveries?
Yeah,
could that be what's going on?
Maybe. Oh, well, but see, remember, this is them offering the service to other retailers. So that's what it is. They're trying to, I think what they're trying to do is subsidize and underwrite the cost of running their own service by having other people pay into it as well. So if other retailers are using their service, that means they're not having to pay as much for it themselves. To be honest, I've started to become uncomfortable with how reliant on Amazon I've become for online retail, and I'm trying to spread it out a bit. I try to go to other places and look and see what they got. I mean, sometimes it's hard. It's really easy to go on Amazon. I wanted an 8-quart Instant Pot because I have a big family, and it's like I use Camel, which is a previous pick of the week. Put in a price I wanted. It came up. I bought it. It came 2 days later. I mean, it's hard to beat that. So yeah.
Well, I'd be more convinced that Amazon's trying to compete with any of those, UPS, FedEx, or the Postal Service, especially since FedEx or Amazon got an agreement with the post office to do Sunday delivery in some places because of this.
Yeah.
I'd be more convinced that if they started doing door-to-door pickup too, like you said, Dom, doing home pickup where you could ship with Amazon,
right?
Instead of just it's an extended delivery service.
I tell you one thing that's been awesome. Again, this is me trying not to be reliant on Amazon, but here's an awesome thing that they're doing, which is if you need to return something to Amazon, you just take it to a Whole Foods if there's one nearby, and they have
or Kohl's.
Right. Yeah,
you can take it to Kohl's as well.
Right, and it's also like you go in, you have a piece of paper, they do you don't have to package it, you don't have to do any of that. They take care of it. It's like. And while you're here, maybe you'll buy some overpriced groceries, or whatever, clothes at Kohl's.
Clothes,
it's kind of wild. I mean, there are things I've bought recently from Amazon, and they've come the same day, like literally within hours. It's insidious. It's so good. Here, have some more.
But it's where we live, Dom. That's the whole thing.
Totally.
Somebody like Father Cory's not going to get that type.
Well, I was just going to say is I ordered a new all-in-one printer copier for my other church, and it was supposed to arrive today. I ordered it last week. It showed up 2 days later after I ordered it. So it showed up last week instead of this week. So yeah, and I think those of us who've had Prime for a while, we were kind of getting upset with Amazon because during the lovely thing that starts with a C we had to deal with for the last 2 years,
right?
Prime shipping wasn't Prime shipping anymore,
right?
But I think they're kind of finally getting back to that.
Well, at least in this part of the country, there's a Amazon warehouse every 3 blocks, so that kind of helps.
Yeah.
Yep.
My closest is Spokane. I drive past it when I go visit my dad.
That's funny. There's like 5 Amazon warehouses, no lie, 5 of them within a 20-minute drive of my house. It's crazy.
They're finally building one in Rhode Island.
Wow, it is wild.
And there's one about 15 miles away from us in Fall River.
In the future, everything will be Amazon.
We are Amazon. You will be assimilated.
You'll have to go to the metaverse to escape. Anyway, let's move on from that wonderful thought. It's time for our picks of the week. And Father Cory, you're up first. What is your pick this week?
So I'm actually doing a pick that has been around for a very long time, easily 20 years or more. I mean, this is something that I used before I even was a seminarian. So that was well over 20 years ago. It's called System Rescue. Originally it was called System Rescue CD. And it's a bootable Linux distribution. Originally, like I said, you'd get the ISO and you'd burn it to a CD. Now, of course, you can put it on a USB thumb drive. And basically what it is, it's designed for your system crashes, your Windows or Linux system crashes. How do you recover from that? And it can be as simple as just getting access to the hard drive so that you can then copy the data that's on that hard drive and then rebuild your system. It can fix partitions. It can fix, directories. I mean, it can do so many things. It's a great tool, especially if you're rebuilding a system. If you've decided I need to reinstall Windows is just gotten bad. I just need to take it down to flat and restart. This is a good tool. We're talking about privacy earlier. If I remember correctly, it's got the tools that'll let you do complete wipe of the hard drive, where you can take the hard drive and just completely scratch it. If you've forgotten your Windows password, it's got the tools to go into Windows and change your Windows passwords from Linux.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's got, wipe and shred are needed if you need to securely delete data. And be careful, these tools are destructive. Yes, they are. So, I mean, this thing can tell you about your hardware. If your hardware is acting bad, you can run a mem test. You can run hard drive tests. This thing is like, if you need to do any kind of work on any kind of system that you can't just do under Windows, you need this. If you're responsible for office computers, you need this. If you are worried about your privacy and you're getting rid of your computer and you want to just completely destroy all the data in your hard drive, the hard drive is fine, but it just completely, it does like the ones and zeros to wipe your hard drive. You need this. Wow. This is just a great recovery tool. It's a great system building tool. It does like everything. And it's been, like I said, it's been doing it forever. That's so awesome. It's one of the best ones out there.
Cool. I wish there was something like that for the Mac. I remember there used to be tools like this for the Mac back in the day, but it's gotten a little more locked down than.
Obviously, you could use this on an Intel Mac, but you can't use it to like recover into Mac or anything like that.
Right.
So this
wipe
is
the drive. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you need to wipe the drive, if you need to repartition things like that, you can do that. Obviously, what Apple wants you to do is use the recovery partition on the drive.
Yeah, which works fairly well, usually. When it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yep.
That's awesome, Father Gray. And it's obviously it's Linux and thus free.
It is absolutely 100% free. You click download here, you download it, and you throw it on like I said, a thumb drive.
Awesome.
I think part of the reason why they don't call it the System Rescue CD anymore is it's now 718 718 megabytes. So it's
bigger than a CD.
It would just fill a CD. won't fill a DVD though.
No. Awesome. All right, Joanne, you're up. What's your pick this week?
Well, I have an oldie but goodie for Mac users, of course. This is a video downloader, converter, record your screen. It's almost like a Swiss Army knife for those who like to bring videos from the internet into your computer without having to, sort of link to them. Now, this is not for nefarious reasons. I use it a lot because of my work, but it's called Wondershare All My Tube. And yes, it was originally used for YouTube, but now you can get any kind of videos from Vimeo to Vivo to Dailymotion, and it's a one-step. You click on the URL, you paste the URL, and in it comes. From there, you can convert it to a different file format if you don't like MP4. It'll do a couple of different ones. You can also extract the MP3, the audio from it. In fact, for YouTube, it'll ask you, do you just want the audio?
Yep.
Which is a nice thing. And it also has a record feature. So if you can't get it, you can actually play the video on your screen, and inside of this rectangle, it will record everything that's there.
Oh, cool.
Right. I use it mostly for the reason that sometimes I find the link online and I'm going to use it in a presentation. All of a sudden, the link's gone. So I would prefer to have this material on my computer so that I don't have to worry about connecting to the internet. Sometimes the internet at one of the parishes doesn't work.
I tell you, this is actually something that, like, in churches are big Faraday cages, or school buildings are often that way. These, especially the older they are, and they prevent signals from getting in. And so, if you ever need to show a video in a religious ed, or sometimes the diocese wants the pastor to show, the annual appeal video in and they put it on Vimeo or on YouTube, and you're supposed to play it from there. And you're like, I don't have internet there. Well, this is a way. Download it. You don't have to worry about any connection problems. It's on your hard drive. You just play it. I do this all the time. Whenever I had to do presentations, if there was a video involved, I would not rely on the internet at all. I would just download it and do that sort of thing. Yeah,
I'll tell you, this has been one of my stalwarts for at least 15 years in many different, contraptions. But I believe right now, I can't remember, I think it's about $40. You can try it for free, see if you like it. I don't use the converter part though, because I like Handbrake.
Yeah.
It's just something, because Handbrake's a little bit more versatile. But if you're looking for something that you can get a video into your computer and use it from there, all my tube from Wondershare is your utility knife.
So it's $30.
Oh, it's 30. Oh, good.
And it's available for Mac and Windows.
I thought it was just a Mac app.
Yep.
Good.
So, very nice. So this for everyone can enjoy. Excellent. All right. So my pick of the week is an app called Cheap Charts. And Cheap Charts your media deals. It's available for iPad, but also iPhone and Apple TV and Mac. You can even run it on a M1 Mac if you have one of those. And what it does is it basically watches the iTunes store. So this is if you're an Apple person, which if you have an iPhone, you probably are, and keeps track of all of the things, like whether it's movies or other things like that, usually movies or TV shows, and when they go on sale. So if there's a sale they'll list it, and they'll show you how much you're making and what the bundles are. And even sometimes they'll have, like, if iTunes gift cards go on sale. So, for when your pastor needs one, just kidding.
Okay.
But like you can get $100 gift card for $80, or so you're basically saving $20, and you just, throw that on your account, that sort of thing. So it's nice. It's fairly simple, straightforward. There's lots and lots of movies and other shows on there on iTunes that you'd be surprised that you would find. But it's a really useful app, and it's free to use, and it'll even save you money. So that's even better, right?
Thank you. I just downloaded it.
There you go. Cheap Charts. Yeah. So and it does categories like movies on sale. It gives you the movies chart. So what's the most popular movies? And then you can look at categories like movies that are in 4K, movies that are upgraded to 4K, movie bundles, the IMDb top 250, movies you can pre-order. What's new on iTunes? So you can set up alerts if you're looking for a particular movie that's coming out, or if you want to get the movie but only when it's on sale, or that sort of thing. So it's got all kinds of stuff like that in there. So you just check it out. Cheap Charts. All right, that should do it for us this time. So we would love to get your feedback on our discussion, including my question about Mint Mobile. If you're a Mint Mobile user, don't forget. So you can let us know what you think of our discussion by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology, or at the SQPN Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, or send an email to technology@sqpn.com, or visit our StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord. You'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week in our show notes at sqpn.com. Be sure to follow us, the show, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn. We're in your favorite podcast app, and we're also at the StarQuest YouTube channel where you can listen, and make sure to hit the bell to get notifications. We'd like to thank James for his research assistance in this episode. And until next time, Father Cory Sticha, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Thank you, Dom.
Joanne Mercier, thank you as well.
Thanks, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Technology on StarQuest.